said he's ready.
Are we ready? Let's call the committee of the whole meeting to order. Tuesday, the 24th of July, 2007 at 6:21 p.m. Councilwoman Bell is present, Councilman Hodge, Vice Mayor Losner, Councilwoman Waldron, Councilwoman Garner, and Councilman Porter.
What's in your chair?
Is there a motion for approval of the July 10th, 2007 minutes? So moved. Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Waldman. Any questions on the minutes? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Item 2B, tab 2, Mr. Vice Mayor, discussion new City Hall site, demolition, tree removal.
Kurt? Yes, Mayor and Council. Here's a perfect example that nothing is easy. Why government gets complicated, I guess. But in the new City Hall site, we do have possession of all the buildings, and it's been vacated now. And we are in the process, the bid's out for demolition. And part of that will be the landscaping around the trees. And we have, there are 4 royal palms that are going to be relocated by us for the Parks and Rec, but we have some additional trees. And people have come forward, I think it's mainly one landscaping company has come forward and wanted to take the other trees out, which seems, no-brainer kind of thing. However, when you start looking at it, there's a couple of things. One is, if we do it to this, if somebody else wanted to come, why didn't we get a chance? Now what do? We bid that out or something for somebody to do it or make an announcement. Then we have to be concerned about liability, them coming onto our property. We want people with experience of how to do that and remove the trees properly. We have infrastructure down there we have to concern ourselves with. So it really comes down to about 3 options that you have here. We could advertise it to the local paper, first come, first serve, and hope we don't have a land rush, fight over the trees or whatever. Secondly, we could hire a contractor to remove all the native trees, and those for our landscaping, and we can transplant them somewhere else, but this is going to be costly. And as I'm told by our experts, I don't know this on my own account, but 50% of these trees may not make it once they're transplanted. They don't all make it. Thirdly, allow the demolition company just to dispose of the trees, and we have to replace the canopy. There's credits to these trees that you pull out, but our landscaping plan for the City Hall is more than enough to replace the canopy credits that we need that we remove by taking these trees out. So that's kind of how something easy becomes a little more involved.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Kurt, under the agreement with the demolition company, is there leeway? In effect, we're declaring everything on that site other than the royal palms without value, surplus property to be demolished and removed, whether it be plant or buildings. Does that give, and do our documents give, the demolition contractor the opportunity to allow qualified people to come in at its own risk and root, prune, and remove and sell the trees?
I'll give Brian a comment on that, the package. Brian, you want to comment?
Actually, Javier as well. We did mention that actually at the pre-bid conference in regards to that as an option. We have not put it out as an addendum to the construction, or because it hasn't been awarded yet, so that could be an option as well, that we could give them at their leisure to go ahead and dispose of the trees however they feel necessary.
No, and I would think that, obviously we would build in that if that third party, the second party down the line, does some damage, that we're going to look to the demolition contractor. And so I'm hesitant to go out there and push down trees that somebody might have an interest in taking, and I recognize that it's just a big ordeal for us to do it as a municipality. So I guess it goes back to my comment that implicit in it, we're saying take it and do with it what you wish. I think we ought to at least give the contractor the leeway and let those know who have expressed an interest that their deal will be with with our demolition company. I don't think it's time sensitive as to whether or not the trees go next week or in 30 days or whatever after they're root pruned. I mean, some of them are going to require some root pruning and some time delay.
Well, we want the 4 royal palms for the city.
Well, clearly, those, yeah, that's how the mix.
We can do addendum. Do you have Javier?
Why not just?
Everybody know Javier?
Because I know this.
You're our construction manager.
Hello. One of the situations that we have is as we add more requirements to the contractor, the risk factor for them goes up. And if they're going to relocate the trees, when they go and root prune them, there's actually more work involved. Now, some companies may come in and take the trees at no cost to the contractor, but I've seen that usually they won't share that full credit back with the city. When they're going to go in and bid, either they can destroy the trees or relocate them at their own opinion. If we require them to relocate the trees, then there's a cost factor that gets added into the bids that'll come in.
No, I'm not saying require them. I'm saying allow them to have their own process where they allow someone to come in and remove it, and to the extent that no one's interested, because the survivability rate is so low. But I would rather, if we have the ability to let someone take that opportunity, I'd rather, put that out there than just say, clear it. I'm really not advocating, having those trees as a set aside and then dealing with bids from landscapers to come in and do that.
So you're saying give them that flexibility?
Give the demolition contractor the flexibility to sell the trees, or to, because the cost of moving a tree is very expensive. It's not as if those trees really have value. Palms are different. They're more readily movable. But big canopy trees very often don't survive the move. And while it's very expensive as a homeowner or a business to put in those specimen trees, the cost is not the value of the tree, but the expense of the expertise of root pruning it and hiring the equipment to pull it out of the ground and load it on a flatbed truck and bring it to your location. So it's not as if we would be giving up that value, and I'd rather have the ability for someone to take that risk that something survives rather than just, can you believe the city bulldozed all of those trees?
Two things. First of all, Javier, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when a demolition contractor comes in, we tell them what the work that they have to do. What they do with the stuff that they remove is really up to them.
That's right.
So if they decide that the trees have value and they pull them out, they're going to sell them. We don't need to do anything about it.
We're not concerned about that.
The only thing I'd be concerned about is some of these other options, because things tend to always get very complicated here. We start to have other people bidding on the trees and coming in, and we end up with insurance problems. I'd recommend it. Just let the demolition contractor take care of them. If the trees have value, believe me, they're going to get the value out of them, so they won't be wasted or killed. So I just leave it with the contractor.
I have a question.
Mr. Hards, and then just one.
Well, I guess my first question would be, if there is a value, since of the expense of doing this whole process, could we, find some type of negotiating medium ground on whatever value that they do have to them on the cost of doing the demolition? And or I know we're going to keep the royal palms with it's the canopy trees that we're worried about. This would be more of a recommendation. I know some of the offices over on 15th Street wanted to line that road more with canopies, and that's another option that we could, have those trees moved ourselves. And, I just don't look at, giving away free money, But, if that's something that's, necessary, we need to get some form of value for it.
Well, I don't know, but I would just say a comment there. Unless you're a professional at this and have the equipment, we're going to have to pay somebody to do it, and that's going to cost us. And
very expensive.
I think only a landscaper might be able to get some more of the value out of it because they have the equipment to do it. And I'm not sure how much that is, and with an estimated probability of 50% on survivability, we're really, looking at that, felt that we probably weren't giving up a whole lot there to do that. to have them removed by somebody. We were just worried that one landscaper came in and wanted it. Now, okay, if we give it to them, why didn't we give somebody else a chance? And who's out there we don't know about to give them a chance? And, start that, you start getting your phone calls about that. And maybe you had an individual who said, well, gee, I'd like to take that to my yard, and have to deal, with those kinds of scenarios, and we wanted to avoid that. The city only wanted actually, our need was only for the palms, the royal palms. Our main need was only for the royal palms. Just by the landscape design that we have there alone, will replace more than what we removed there. So it wasn't like the credits were going to be...
Far more.
Yeah, far more. Then we had to add more and have more expense. That's going in anyway, and it's going to exceed, what we take out of there.
So anyone that have an interest, is a matter of referring them to the demolition company?
I think that, to make it easier, more simple for us, I think you came up with a good option on that.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Ms. Rodman, you too, Mr. Ms. Rodman?
my son has a landscaping design company, and I'm going to tell you something. I mean, I was up there the other day, and he took me for a ride, and he said, "Mama, that tree was $15,000. That tree was, $18,000 at a college." That a college had just purchased some trees, and he had done the work. And I go for option 3 because more than likely the plants are not going to live, and as long as we can have the royal palms, I mean, if we can carve those out.
Yeah, we have a good use for that.
I just don't see how, because it's going to be a lot of money, Javier, don't you agree? I mean, I know what my son would charge if you told him to go plant those somewhere else. It's going to be a lot of money, and I don't want to see a free-for-all. Everybody first come serve, trying to take out the plants. So, is that Richard, what you had recommended?
I think
3?
we should just leave this to the demolition contractor. I think the concern is, we're getting rid of something valuable. I think if to the extent there's anything valuable,
I'll second that.
It becomes very complicated.
I mean,
so it's option 3.
It runs into a lot of money.
Yeah.
Good for my son, but not good for our city. So.
Properly moved and second? Mm-hmm. Second by Ms. Rodman? Mm-hmm. Moved by Ms. Bell. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll let you vote on this, but I just want to take privilege 1 minute after you do that.
Okay.
Javier here.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Manager?
I don't remember, but Javier, if you would get up and just briefly, we hired Javier. He was with an engineering firm working at the airport to come in and oversee some of the major construction projects we have actually going on and are planned, and we actually need this expertise. Javier's been in here and has done an excellent job, brought in a lot of experience which we heretofore have not had. And Javier, if you just want to say real quick, I know you're happy to be here, but
I haven't had a chance to speak to council as a group yet. I appreciate the opportunity, the kind words. I hope that I don't let anybody down with the work that I do, and I hope all of our projects are a success.
This is just what we need, Javier.
Thank you.
We need that expertise, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Javier, folks.
Ms. Foster?
Yeah. I just wanted to add, I've had the opportunity to work extensively with Javier on the City Hall project. You got to keep the architects in check. They draw their dream with no regard for expense. And Javier's a guy that says you can have this look with the same utility for a fraction of the price, and we've made some substantial headway. It just little design tweaks, and as I said, I'm a frustrated architect, but I guess you have to be able to draw a straight line with a ruler in order to be an architect. But
you have to use a computer these days.
They draw the dream, and Javier helps us get to reality. And he's very, very impressed in the very long meetings that we've been in on numerous occasions on City Hall. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Vice Mayor. I think we got an idea where the architect got his design from. It's from Palm Beach. I saw building, just like, did you also do the same building?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I didn't put it together till you just said that.
Right there in Palm Beach, but it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. All right. Item 2C, travel policy and ordinance.
Mr. Mayor and Council, we've had, our travel policy was done in 1981 and hadn't had any changes to it since that time. And as we've gone through dealing with the travel that we've done, conferences, training, we've run into some issues in which the policy is lacking. And so this is really a kind of a cleanup of our travel policy and clarification of some issues. The changes are the underlining there. You can see we've made several. And we're putting this before you and recommending
I'll move it, Mayor.
this.
I'll second this.
Moved by Councilwoman Garner, second by Councilwoman Bell. Any questions on the recommendation of
Just a comment, Mayor. Very
Ms.
good
Bell?
changes, and it really definitely was needed.
Jan in
clean up.
Finance did this with our attorney's office. I
Yeah.
don't know who you worked with, but, Wilkin worked with
Makes
Dave.
it nice and clean.
Very good. Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 2D is surplus
I'll move
items
it.
and resolution.
Move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell, is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. Any questions on surplus items? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Finance Committee, Councilwoman Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. We have bid 200608 for the substation construction, reliable substation services. We have change orders 6, 7, 9, 12, 13, and 14. Mr. Manager.
Two of the, and this is for both, and we have Ken here in case I misspeak again, but these are for both our substations for change orders. The major, out of the 71,796 you see here, 64,656 dealt with what they call the, what was that, resistivity of the ground in which we built the substations. And they estimate that prior to building, and then when they get in there and they put the fill in and they do the test for grounding of the whole place, the resistivity, I like that word, we found that we had to make some changes, add more fill to get to the level that it needed to be, and that makes up the bulk of the change orders. The others are smaller nickel-dime stuff.
Will this ever come to an end with these change orders for these substations?
Oh, you asked a hard question there.
Jesus.
I know. We hope.
I hope
But
so.
at the end of the day, some of these will be, we'll discuss it with the company, enough said on that, but just that we're going to discuss it.
And this isn't just the vendor, this is the city as well. This is the city working with the contractor and coming up with these numbers as well. So some of the change orders are on our end as well.
Mayor.
Mr. Vice Mayor, what's the completion date on these substations? Are we close to completion?
We're looking at the end of this month, beginning of next month is the current date.
Both?
For actually the Renaissance.
Okay.
It's coming, excuse me, yeah, we'll call it Renaissance Park of Commerce. One that's going to be first.
Move it, Madam Chair.
Second.
Been properly moved and it's been seconded by Councilman Hodge. Mr. Rossman, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And I know that, as things progress and change orders are necessary, because we're not going to leave a half-completed substation that we need in a short amount of time, but, as these continue to come, can we have some cumulative, let's,
That's good.
I don't want all of a sudden we have people out there calling our substations the Taj Mahals. They weren't cheap to begin with, and we're at least 14 change orders now. Let's keep a running tab so that we don't lose sight of where we are.
We are, and we have some later negotiations to do with contractors.
Understand, yeah.
Design, yeah, okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Point well taken. Any other comments or questions from council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes carry.
Marketing Committee, Councilwoman Garner.
Thank Thank you, Mayor. I know Ms. Bell had made a comment at the last council meeting about our city seal.
My fault.
And I just wanted to I haven't talked to council lately about what we've been doing, and I just wanted to give you an update and let you know that after last May, when we had discussed the look and we unanimously approved it, we went ahead and started working on things, and we've actually ordered quite a few things like uniforms, lapel pins, backdrops, brochures, and we actually have a very nice piece that's going to be ready for the State of the City address. So, we've gone through printing and things like that, and, of course, we appreciate any comments from council, any ideas you have, input you have, but since we had already gotten to that point and discussed it, if we were to make any changes to it right now, not only would it be costly to us for reprints and things like that, then we would have 3 different looks floating out there, and we really don't want to do that. So I just wanted to let you know we have a lot of pieces coming out. You'll be seeing the transportation piece, the utility piece, which all include the new logo.
Well, Ms. Garner, let me apologize, first of all, for not speaking up when I should have, because I know we had kind of battered this around so much that what came across our desk was so pretty. I mean, any of the above were so pretty. But, as I looked at it, and it just looked so empty without the jet, and because I still think the Air Force is such a part of our town. And so I really do apologize for not bringing this to you sooner, as well as to Lillian. And I called Lillian and said, I apologize in advance. But it's just something I really thought that, and I wasn't asking, I understand that we have uniforms out there and signs, so what I was just going to ask, if it was at all possible, if there was any support for it at all, was that in the future, as not changing one thing that's already out there, but in the future, as new things come online, if we could put the jet back in, and eventually everything would have the jet back in. That was just my comment and my recommendation, that we phase that jet back in, but not change one thing that's currently already been done as far as uniforms and certain things like that. And I don't know if that's not feasible, but that was my recommendation. And again, I do apologize for not bringing it up right when the seal first came to us. I thought, all of them were beautiful, but I really probably should have spoken up then. So I just wanted that to be out there. If there's any support for phasing that back in, I would love to see that. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you for your comments. And, I think all of us support the base, but
oh, absolutely.
The committee and council seem to like the clean look, which did not include that. And if we were to go adding or changing anything, it would be quite a mess to try to get. We wanted some consistency. And so now we're going to have to try to phase out that old look, and it's going to take us a while to do that. So now that we've already introduced the new one, I would not recommend making any changes. Any additional comments for anyone else?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor.
I know I was out of town when the final version was adopted, and obviously in hindsight I've gotten some slack about taking the tractor out. Those who are involved in those who are involved in agriculture feel that agriculture is still a big part of at least the economy of this community, and I think that it is. But not putting the tractor back in, I don't think indicates any of us don't support.
Correct.
Don't support agriculture.
Take one out and not the other.
The way the proposal was couched, it's almost as if you don't support putting the jet back in, you don't recognize and support the military, and that's just not true. We did it. It's like designing the city hall. How many versions are we going to have? We're not going to have all these seals floating around out there. It's done. Hindsight's 20/20. Let's move forward.
And we are. Thank you. Amanda, I'm not going to sit back for that. I never implied, never stated anything about anybody's lack of patriotism or a lack of support for the military. I said I apologize, and I said it was my preference, and I missed the jet. So I stand on record, and I think that was a little bit of a cheap shot. So I never implied, I never stated anything like that. So I want that on the record.
Methinks thou dost protest too much.
Methinks thou dost protest too much.
Mayor, I think we're done. Thank you.
Thank you for silliness. Silly.
5, Park and Rec, Councilwoman Woolman.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an agreement with Florida Department of Transportation, Turf and Landscape Maintenance, and I'm going to turn this over to managers because it's a little complicated.
This is our continuing agreement with the state of Florida for maintaining the turf and landscaping on the medians for US 1 and Chrome Avenue. Again, it's $25,704 annually. What they base their price on, it costs more to do that. We pick up the slack because otherwise our medians on Chrome and US 1 would be cut once every 30 days. That's their cut. We do it every 10 to 14 days. So
And sometimes we need to do it more often.
there's your local support from the state. That's how they handle things. So that's why they can be cheap.
I'll finish.
I'll second it.
All right, motion made by Councilman Hodge, seconded by Councilwoman Bell. Any comments or questions from council? No? All right, that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roman. Councilman Porter, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mayor. As usual, I have really tough agenda items here. They're all... It's going to be a fair amount of controversy.
All three of them at once?
Take the money.
We can, we should.
I'll move them all.
I'll second them all.
Hold on, I didn't even ask the question. Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion from council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you for my long agenda.
It's hard work.
Ms. Bell, any agenda item for the committee of the whole?
No, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Hodge?
No, sir.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
No, thank you.
Ms. Roman?
No, sir.
Ms. Garner?
No, thank you.
Mr. Porter?
No, sir, Mayor.
And I got about 4 items. One is, could I get an update on Mr. Jeffrey Eisenbrew? I've gotten several emails. Could someone give me an update, and hopefully we resolve that issue? I'll get back with them, so.
The issue had been resolved. Basically, there was a question regarding on what the city actually picks up in terms of a weekly trash pickup. I explained to him, I spoke to him on several occasions during this past couple of days, and I explained to him our code and how there is a 10 cubic yard limit as to what we pick up on a week-to-week basis. I explained to him that what happened in his case, there was a vendor that was actually cutting his trees, putting the debris in front of his property, and somebody noticed that and called code enforcement on it, thinking that it was an illegal dumping, which is a good thing because we want to check up on these vendors to make sure that they're not bringing in debris from outside the city into our city, and then we're ending up picking it up. I also explained to him that this is really a safeguard on what he pays for trash pickup. In other words, we're making sure that what he pays for is for residents. It's not for people from outside the city to come and dump on our ground. So it is a safeguard to the monies that our residents pay for this service. And I think at the end of the day, he was satisfied with our response. He didn't like the harassment that his vendor got from the city, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure that those vendors are doing the proper work and they're not bringing in things from outside the city. So,
Okay, thank you, sir.
it was resolved.
Appreciate it. We don't have to discuss it this evening, but Ms. Wallman and Ms. Volker, at the next committee of the whole, could I get an update on where we are in the stadium? Mayor Roscoe Warren Park, and internal auditor position. Could you all give us an update that at the next committee of the whole? And that's all I have. Mr. Manager, you have any business?
Nothing, Mayor.
Richard, welcome back from a month-long vacation. You look refreshed.
It was not a month, but it just seemed like month. So I saw those issues on the agenda. I figured I better get out of town. No, it was pre-scheduled.
Thank you, Richard. Welcome back, and hope you and your family had a beautiful break. I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Meeting is adjourned.